This is Richard Fowler. I'm John Kilpatrick with Okolona Aikido, Louisville, Kentucky, USA. And today I want to look at basic leading, which is what we're almost always looking at. And so the idea here is that we're not going to interfere with our partner's attack. We're going to move out of the way of the attack. So we're not parrying. When we're leading, we're really not even touching the attacking limb. We're just, on most things, certainly on the things I'm looking at today. Now, if you're doing a technique, a lot of times you do. But I want to clearly separate the lead from what follows. And the approach that we take to Aikido is reflex control. And so to us, all the really interesting, of course there's strikes and joint breaks and all kinds of things in Aikido, but the really interesting part of Aikido to us is reflex control. And the reflexes, right now we're looking at this leading reflex, which is what a matador does. So when the bull attacks, the matador doesn't try to move the bull. What the matador does is have a surrogate target, and he leaves it there for the bull to attack it, and he gets out of the way. And that's what we're doing. And then we would typically follow this up with either a reflex to get the partner to throw his head back, or a reflex to do a structure break for a throw. And of course, throwing the head back is also, all of this, leading breaks the structure, throwing your head back breaks the structure, but we divide them up. So the first one we want to look at is one of the early things you do in Aikido, when somebody's thrusting at you with ski, and we think of ski as a knife attack. And another thing about Aikido, what Aikido is basically built for is real fighting, life and death fighting. Wasn't originally a sport, and it's probably not best to think about it as a sport now. And when people attack you in real attacks, they're sneaking up on you usually. It's a sudden attack. They don't want you to know it's about to happen. And so that's a huge problem in and of itself. But this is not a sports arena where we're squaring off with somebody. We don't know this is about to happen. So the first lead that we're going to do, let's show it first, and we won't go very fast, and then we'll talk about what's involved in doing it. So, okay, so on this lead, I have to have my hands up in the air. Now, I know that it's traditional in Aikido not to have your hands up. Some people are in a kind of a fighting position when they're doing Aikido, and this makes sense if you're practicing wrist grabs, because if your wrist is not out there, it's hard for somebody to grab it. But for us, we have our hands up like this. Partly that's because if we don't do that, the leading is very difficult. But also, part of it is, if somebody's approaching you and you consider them a threat, you want everybody around them and everybody else to know that you don't want any part of this, that they're starting it. So you have your hands up saying, back off, stay away, and if that doesn't work, you start yelling so that everybody within a mile knows you're being attacked. And so that's the first thing. Now, once you have your hands up, you want to respond quickly. So you're going to throw your hand out, so when he's coming slowly, and then I pivot. So, and that throwing your hand out is the first thing. And what you're doing, the best way I found to think about this is it's like leading traffic or something. So the cars are coming through and you lead them through and you get out of the way so you don't get run over. And so you have to pay attention to your partner Now we've thought about this a lot of different ways, and if you followed our videos, you see that as we learn more, we change and do different experiments and all kind of things, and that process I'm sure will continue. So I put this hand out, and it's going to, when he comes, it's going to move along the line of attack. So it pulls his knife right toward me and right past me. Now this is just the lead. This is not a technique of any kind. I would always protect myself while I'm doing this, and this would lead immediately into something that would keep him from continuing the attack. When people attack with a knife, it's boom, 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 boom. You know, it's this kind of thing. You have to stop it instantly. You cannot let it go on. This other hand, now normally, if I were doing a technique, while this hand's leading, the other hand's doing something to neutralize the guy that's attacking. If you don't do anything with that hand, you tend not to pivot, and then you tend to get stabbed. So, and the way this basic exercise is done in Aikido, the hands move together, you know, so it's almost like a chi wheel, you know, chi ball, and so that's the one going to the outside. Now, my teacher, when I started, you know, I would say, you know, I didn't know any of this, and I'd say, well, you know, when I try to pivot out of the way, the guy follows me and stabs me, and so he has to, what he said was, he said, well, what's happening is he knows which way you're going, and just unconsciously he's trying to win, so he goes where he knows you're going to go. So you have to randomly change from side to side. So when you practice, we'll do some to one side and some to the other side, and the partner won't know when we're going to do what. And that's important because you have to, your attacker has to be seriously trying to get you. And so if you go the other side, now here, when he's hitting me, we're in Gakugami, that is, my left foot's forward and his right foot is forward, and you almost have to lead, I would say you have to, on everything I do, I lead with my forward hand. So the back hand is the weapon hand, usually, and the right hand is the leading hand. So if I'm going to this other side, he stabs. And so again, this hand comes out here close to the shoulder, and I don't want to come so close that I keep him from coming. I want to pull him through. I want him to sacrifice himself. I don't want to have to do any work. I'm old, you know, I'm too feeble to do any work. So then, as he comes, see, my hands are leading him past me. Let's see, let's do that on the other side so they can see that on the other side. Let's see, yeah, we're in this hami, yeah, this is, no, yeah, this is right, isn't it? So he's striking, and so that is this lead. Now that's two ways of leading, and there are some more that we do, but it's too long, takes too long to show more than two. But you practice this, and then we'll show you, we've already shown on previous videos, but again, we'll show how you put techniques in with this. And for us, this is the most basic and most important part of Aikido.